truth about chasing your passion as a musician. Man, there's a lot of truth on this channel, and I know a lot of you guys out there can relate. You know, the raw reality of pursuing a career in music, balancing passion with financial challenges, overcoming self-doubt, and staying motivated despite setbacks. These are some of the challenges that we face, man. You know, look, man, we all have a passion for making music, whether you play drums, bass, guitar, write songs, create beats, whatever it is that you do, it is a passion. And man, there are financial challenges with chasing your passion. The reality is this, man. I can remember being a young guy in Hollywood and writing my own songs on my little 4-track and, not having the right drum machine at the time and thinking, man, if I could get a Yamaha RX-7, that's got all the drum sounds, and man, our demos would sound better and all that. And man, we just did not have the money for, so I think that was, around $500 at the time, which seemed like, or maybe it was even $1,000. I don't know, but it was just eternally out of reach. We weren't pulling in that kind of money. You didn't have that kind of money, and no one would just give it to you. And you didn't have the internet then, so you couldn't find one used. You couldn't reach out to the company for an endorsement. I mean, it was challenging. And then, the same thing goes on today. I know a lot of guys think, oh, if I could just get this guitar, if I could just get this amp. We're constantly on that gerbil wheel of gear acquisition syndrome. I'm here to tell you, man, you can do it without any of that, man. When I was playing the Sunset Strip, I didn't have any pedals. I had 2 guitars. I had a Mesa Boogie head and one cab that matched it and another cab that didn't. And that was my entire rig. And that was probably the peak of my music career. That was probably the peak. I probably never surpassed that point, even though I went on to play arenas and a stadium and clubs and theaters and played thousands of shows. Being 20-something years old, maybe I was 21 at the time, being 21, 22 years old and playing the Sunset Strip, that was probably the peak, man. And that was probably the moment I had the least gear there. I can think of only one time when I was in Nashville and I was starting to hit bottom. And I can remember having 1 guitar and 1 amp. Gear is not holding you back. Your mentality is holding you back, because I took that 1 guitar, 1 cable, no pedals. I think maybe I had a tuner that I could plug in between. It wasn't even a pedal tuner, and an amp. I had once again in Nashville, I had 1 guitar, a Mesa Boogie amp with 3 channels on it, so I could dial in different tones. And man, I took that rig and went on to now, look, I've got a decent guitar collection behind me. I've got a couple of amps. And that carried me, from that low point to many high points. And it was never really about the gear. My last road gig, when I got the road gig, I didn't have the rig that I really needed to do the job, but I made do until I could afford to buy better stuff. And reality is, I probably didn't even really need to do that. The reality is, it's your talent that's carrying you. It's your talent and your passion which get you those gigs. And the equipment is just a side note. It's nice to have. Now, there is one thing that, I've been on sessions and they've asked, hey, do you have a 12-string or do you have a baritone and all that? And those are situations where it's disappointing when you don't have what they're asking for, and you try to be as prepared as you can and have the tools that you need, in a situation like that. But the reality is, man, you've got to figure out a way to make do. If they ask for a baritone, tune your guitar down. If they ask for a 12 string, maybe you can get a Pog pedal and simulate it. It's really kind of impossible to have everything. We're always on the hunt and search for some piece of gear. And, the reality is chasing gear, you're never going to win that battle. Now, a lot of times in your career, you can be filled with self-doubt, and you can face many, many setbacks. I've faced many setbacks in my career. I can remember touring with a group and, getting through the hurdle of the first singer quitting. And then we got a new young singer and we think, we're back on track, and, the label's excited now and all this kind of stuff. Man, a year later, the singer pulls up tent and, it's set back. I'm at home now with no gigs, a mortgage, which I had just taken on, and no way to pay it. Man, there's no severance pay when a band breaks up. It's just the end, and you've got to figure it out. And man, that could be a tough thing, man. You have to keep a positive mindset. You have to reach out to you have to have a core network of musicians that you work with. Never put all of your eggs in one basket. And that's a very valuable lesson right there. When you're a touring musician, all your eggs tend to be in one basket, because what happens is your buddies back home, when they call you and you're not available, they start to go, man, he's on the road. Hey, we'll call Brad. Nah, he's on the road right now. He's not available. So they just assume that you can't do it, even if maybe your artist is taking a break. Maybe there's a window where you could have done some extra work, but they start to assume that you're not around. And so when you go on the road, they assume that. It's the same for sessions. It's the same for, other work in town. And so when you get, unceremoniously dumped back at home, by any means, man, that can be a huge setback. And how do you deal with that? The best way to deal with it is having a network of friends at home that you can reach out to and go, hey, man, I'm back in town. I'd love to work. If you got something cooking, if you need a backup, I know you've got a replacement for me already, but man, if that guy can't do it, man, hit me up and, hey, let's get together and write. Hey, would you be interested in writing some music together? Creating these conversations, reaching out to people, that's one way that you can persevere, because, man, taking on a career, in music, it is a constant challenge. It is, you will have people stab you in the back. You'll have people take your gig. You'll be playing a club and packing the club and making the club money. And the reality is this, the gig can end at any time, despite the fact that you're making them money at the whim of a club owner. Man, I always have said this, all gigs end. It's just a matter of when. And you need to be prepared for that situation. Now, in my case, I've over the years, I acquire gear. And then when things get rough, I try to buy the gear low. And then I try to sell the gear a little bit higher so I make profit. That's not always the case, man. Sometimes you're having to sell a few things. You acquire extra stuff out on the road. You get off the road. You don't need 3 100-watt heads. After you get off the road, you don't need, all this extra gear and extra guitars. And there's companies that give you endorsements and things like that. And some of that stuff has to get sold, man, because you're no longer out on the road, and you might need to float for a couple of months. Always sack away some money when you're out on the road. Don't spend it all on gear. always know that the rug can be pulled out from under you at any time, because it is a cutthroat business. It is brutal, and the reality is, chasing your passion as a musician, it's not always glamorous, man. In fact, most of the time it is not. When you do get those moments where you're riding in a limousine, or you're riding in a tour bus, or you're flying to gigs, and there's thousands of people cheering when you play a guitar solo, or you play that famous intro to a song, don't take those moments for granted, man. Just take a moment and go, wow, I worked so hard to get to this point. And man, it's the same thing if you're playing a bar. Take a moment of gratitude when that crowd is packed and they're jamming out to your band, and everybody's having a great time. Man, have gratitude for those moments, because those are the moments that we live for. Those are the moments that, define us as far as what we do. We create music, we play music to make people happy. And that's the one thing that I've taken away from a career in music. I have to think, what did I do, man? Yeah, I was, buying guitars, and yeah, I was, rehearsing and learning songs and all this stuff. But the bottom line is this: I've played so many joyous occasions, whether it be concerts or bars or showcases, or big concerts or weddings or corporate events. And man, it's usually a joyous, positive situation where you've lit up the crowd, you've provided entertainment for people, and put a smile on their face and put a song in their heart. And man, that is a positive thing. You have provided positive moments for people and given them a break from the day-to-day grind. And that man, that in itself makes it all worthwhile. Chasing your passion as a musician, it's greatly challenging, and there can be huge setbacks. You can be filled with self-doubt about whether you're doing the right thing, and it can be hard to stay motivated. Man, there were times where I just wanted to put the guitar down and just give up. There were many times like that, but man, something about the beauty of music and the feeling of playing the guitar and playing through the trauma, the trauma of everyday life, playing guitar has always helped me through it. The music soothes the savage beast, right? I don't know. These are my experiences. And while it might not be glamorous being a musician all the time, it has brought a lot of joy and a lot of great things to my life, just like meeting my wife and having my wonderful child. Music has given me all of these things, and it has taken me all across the country and parts of the globe, and had amazing experiences playing for thousands and thousands of smiling faces. And that alone is a beautiful thing. And somewhere somebody is probably listening to a song that I played guitar on, or maybe somewhere in another country is listening to a song, on my Spotify, list. And that is an incredible thing. So while it might not be glamorous and there might be many setbacks, the truth about chasing your passion as a musician is, yes, it is going to be hard. Yes, you're going to have low points. Yes, you're going to have times where you question yourself. But overall, man, I can say with great joy in my heart that it has been a blessing, not a curse. Although there have been times where I felt it was a curse, I realize now it's been a great blessing having some talent, being able to play guitar and provide music to entertain people and to fill their soul with joy. And that is a very powerful thing. And the truth about chasing your passion as a musician is, yeah, it'll be hard. But I think overall, in the long run, it has been absolutely 100% worth it.